In the trial of Derek Chauvin, we have a couple of big bits of breaking news. First of all, that the defense has apparently rested. We will have closing arguments soon. But the other big bit of news is that Derek Chauvin apparently decided to take the fifth. So I want to show you a video of that, and then we'll give you our thoughts.
Is this your decision not to testify?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any questions about your right to remain silent or to testify on your own behalf?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right. Has anyone promised anything or threatened you in any way to keep you from testifying?
No promises or threats, Your Honor.
Do you feel that your decision not to testify is a voluntary one on your behalf?
Yes, it is.
Now, in addition to that, I'm convinced then that this is your personal decision and that you're aware of your rights. But there is a jury instruction that may be read to the jury. This, again, is the one that you get to weigh in on. It's not for your lawyer to make the decision. Again, he can give you advice, and I don't even want to know what the advice is. But you can accept the advice or reject the advice as to whether or not to give this instruction. If you would like, I can read this instruction to the jury. It's titled, Defendant's Right Not to Testify. The state must convince you by evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of the crime charged. The defendant has no obligation to prove innocence. The defendant has the right not to testify. This right is guaranteed by the federal and state constitutions. You should not draw any inference from the fact that the defendant has not testified in this case. Do you understand that instruction?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you like that read to the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to talk to Mr. Nelson about whether that's a good idea or not?
I have, Your Honor.
All right. And so I will read that to the jury on your request.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Ben, first off, quick question. Did you catch the hint of like smirk on his face occasionally there? Like, I maybe I'm looking too much into it, but the quick way he answered those questions. I swear one time he did smirk. People can play it back for themselves. But what are your thoughts about him choosing to plead the fifth?
Well, I mean, that's the only thing that he can do in terms of protecting himself. He has the right to do it. I did catch that hint of smirk. It's the same kind of smirk that he had in that 9-minute period that he was killing George Floyd. And I think Adrienne Lawrence with TYT, she actually said on Twitter, it's almost as if the judge is doing as much as he possibly can to make sure that nothing about this trial could lead to the appeals court. Almost to the point where it's almost he's giving Chauvin so much leeway, benefit of the doubt, and consideration. And actually, I understand that because once this decision is brought down, his attorneys are going to look for absolutely anything that they can. So this is just par for the course for what you would expect for a defendant in this kind of situation.
Yeah, I was looking to her for interpretation of this too, especially because I could only as I'm producing, I'm paying I've got it on the background, so I wanted someone who actually knows the law, like Adrienne Lawrence. So yeah. I wanted to read a couple of her quick takes, but I'm glad that you referenced that one as well. She said it's not surprising that Derek Chauvin is invoking his Fifth Amendment right not to testify. He can't justify his actions with regard to George Floyd, and he couldn't even remotely appear sympathetic. I mean, hell, he couldn't appear sympathetic while pleading the fifth, let alone while testifying. But she goes on to say the prosecutors would tear up Chauvin on cross-examination. Plus, although the court has already ruled that many of Chauvin's past complaints and police misconduct complaints can't come in, who knows what could come in against Chauvin should he testify? I'm not an expert in the law. I'm sure they have a reason for why all that past stuff can't come in. Seems relevant. I mean, look at in the court of public opinion, if you ever posed with weed, that sort of stuff will come in. If you're the person who got killed for some reason, if you've been disciplined a bunch, that can't come in. But yeah, I'm sure Chauvin was very worried that if he stood on there and could be questioned, I mean, a ton about his past, his views, all of that, his motivations. He doesn't seem like a guy who's so quick-witted and savvy that he could avoid incriminating himself. So maybe this was a wise decision on his part.
Yeah, no, I was under no illusion that he was going to testify. So here we have it.
And I guess we still have the closing arguments, but at this point, based on what you've seen, what are your hopes or expectations about how this thing will be wrapped up?
So to any reasonable good faith actor, it's an open and shut case of murder. However, that's not how America works. And all they have to do is convince one juror, who I'm sure they have at least one person on that jury who is trying to find anything they can possibly cling to find this man innocent. So I'm preparing myself for a hung jury. I just cannot, and I hope I'm wrong. This is one of the times I hope I am just completely wrong.
Yeah, it would just. It's like, look, if Derek Chauvin goes to jail, it's not like, oh, good, we won, the whole thing's fixed. No, it's so far from that. But if they can't even get this, but that's been true about so many. Like, think about all the things that you've seen. I'm talking to both you, Ben, and the audience. Think about the things you've seen on camera cops do. Think about the things you've seen in body cams, and it's almost never enough. And so why would this, 9 minutes to make the right decision, choosing not to, like almost a full year of protests drawing attention to the issue? Why would this be enough? So I was feeling pretty good, but now that I'm talking to you, yeah, I'm kind of preparing myself for a hung jury as well, actually.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.